Somebody's getting it, somebody's getting my love. Somebody's getting it, somebody Hello, Anne Spencer here, and welcome to the Wellbeing Channel, the platform to help us join together towards a good way of living, looking at holistic models that benefit our way of thinking, just to stop a little while to look at all those underlying core beliefs that we might have and those assumptions we may all uniquely have. Let's face it, that inner chat that we have. We are all moving into a new world, let's face it, and if you consider it, this is an evolutionary upheaval. Let's make it a good one for us and benefit our culture. This episode is learning to navigate your thoughts, that inner chat, that monologue that we all do have uniquely to us. We don't want to be a victim of today's circumstances, no way, or any circumstances for that matter, because your internal monologue, as we've said before, shapes your well-being, the whole you. Remember guys, subscribe and follow always takes us to the next level. Yeah. Okay, let me begin. Your internal monologue, your private soliloquy. Lady Macbeth comes to mind there. Look what happened to her. Anyway, I digress. It does define us, those internal thoughts. Our decisions and our outlook are based on what we believe. So if what we believe isn't really serving us well, in other words, negative, you want to flip back the chat, flip that back. And the good news is there are ways to improve that chatterbox inside. Now, I know I've said it already in the past, but in previous episodes, but let me reiterate. No human will be free of internal thoughts and chat. No human. And even if it's negative, or at least not helpful, you will listen to it. That is the problem. I know I do. We all fall victim of that chatterbox brain. And when I do, I even know that I'm doing it, but I still listen. How bizarre is that? You still listen, unless you're Spock and you're training your thoughts. But I was reading an article from The Guardian, I might add. Yes, a psychiatrist. His name is Ethan Kross. It'd be quite interesting to look him up and some of his thoughts. But he's written a book on how to do just that. That's not what the book's called, but how to navigate your thoughts. He says that those people that can question their inner voice, if you're talking to yourself, are much happier. Their sense of relief is palpable. The way I see it is that when you're talking to yourself, as long as you're not sort of too loud, that's a good thing. If you're listening to it with a kind of rational mind and thinking, no, I ain't going to be thinking that way. I ain't doing that. I ain't thinking that, Anne. Why did you think that? Stop. Do you ever find yourself doing that? I hope it's not just me. But this kind of, being rational about it, this kind of enables you to reframe from what seems like an impossibility, yeah? If something's like, I can't cope, I can't go on. It sort of takes it from impossibility to more like a challenge instead. And one that with your very own encouragement, you may well be able to rise to that challenge, rise to that situation you find yourself in when you're rationalising it and facing it. Because you have to face all these different issues that come into your life, but not allowing it to overwhelm you so much. Emotions will come and go. They will come, and you need to have them. We can't let go of that. Otherwise you wouldn't be human. Oh, and here's the thing. Tree huggers, yeah? I'm not saying I do it every day in public, just saying that. But keep on doing it. It's not mad. It's a technique, actually. This is a technique. This is the power of nature. The power of touch, for example. Okay, we can't exactly put our arms around each other at the moment. Well, certainly not if they're not family or within your home or your bubble, whatever it is. But the power of touch, putting your arms around someone. Well, you know how wonderful that can be. And those activities induce awe. They induce awe of emotions. And that helps with your whole perspective. So you want to find even areas that create awe, walking up a mountain, seeing being out in nature, just seeing wonderful sights. And of course, we've said this before, writing a journal Of course, it's been said before, and we've said it before, and everyone knows, perhaps, but to write down things that you do, journaling, writing a daily journal, and many people know and probably do it. And well done you, because writing a daily journal can improve efficacious for some people. In other words, something that felt so awful to you one day physically becomes old news, and you can see that visibly comes the old news the next day. How good is that? So, journal up now. Bundle up and journal up. All these different techniques. And another thing, organisation. Yeah, organising, tidying out drawers, putting things in neat packages helps put your mind at ease, I guess. Or at least, I guess, organising helps fine-tune your mind. So, can you find a cupboard to clean out? Crikey, I think I can. Putting your thoughts in boxes the same time as you're tidying things physically in your home or wherever. Organising is such a big thing. Lucky charms and all those different rituals and superstitions are like a distraction in one sense, but also a belief that you have that you are able because you have put your faith in something. But the bottom line, what you're doing there is you're putting your faith in yourself and in your beliefs. And that's why those beliefs have to be handled within you. That chatterbox has to be controlled. Change it or accept it and know that it's never that bad. So I guess you are owning your own life this way. Difficult times will come. Things will come up to take us off our path. Is life. And life without a pandemic is hard enough. It is perspective. It is. And understanding the function or the dysfunction of our inner chat, that little monkey head, is so important, because we'll know then, why am I'm not thinking that? Why did that come in there? Get out, it's not serving me. Easier said than done, but all these things become habitual states of mind. And you have to have that to help yourself. It is palpable when you stop to think about it. And that 10 minutes when you're taking your meditation, that's one way of trying to sort of prepare yourself for the day ahead, prepare yourself for things that might enter into your head that might not serve you. Sometimes good that it doesn't. It's a way of saying, I'll hold back here, let me think about this. But it's never that bad. Whilst you have that health, whilst you have that understanding of who you are in your life, then that is the way to go. Laughing, darling. Okay, we can't laugh every single day. We can have an inner contentment. I believe that. This chap, when he talks about our emotional, we want to gain emotional perspective. So Ethan Cross talks about distance self-talk to help gain emotional perspective. It's a psychological hack, if you like. And shall we say, talking to yourself is a good thing. I'm glad to know that. But talking to yourself like you're another person is not only calming, it's your own encouragement that helps you make a better impression, no matter what situation you might find yourself, going for an interview, facing people, just day-to-day living. Seriously though, we don't want to avoid our emotions. We can't just ignore them. I don't think that's a good idea either, but we can distance ourselves. And I guess that's what he means by that, particularly when, and it's true, well, so they say, we think the equivalent of 4,000 words a minute. I can't even believe that. I'm not sure, maybe some of the things are the same thing, but they're repetitive. And that's not good. I mean, that must be it is exhausting, whether you're thinking about it consciously or not. So you want to sort of take those rambling soliloquies of Lady Macbeth out your head, whether it takes that form of rambling like Lady Macbeth or just rehashing different things that have happened to you and sort of repetitively, you know, from one thought to another, to a furious mad chitter-chatter in your head. We've all been there. Well, I have. And all those thoughts and noises can be literally paralysing. As he said, self-sabotaging yourself. What we experience on the inside can blot out almost everything else if we let it. For instance, he said his research has shown that the inner experiences consistently dwarf outer ones, something that Ethan Cross, has noted he speaks to the fact that once a ruminative thought takes hold of us, it can ruin even the best party, the most longed for job. How's about that? That's how powerful your inner chat is, darlings. And some people have louder or more troubling inner thoughts than others. Well, that's the hardest thing to sort of understand. But there are so many ways it can be activated, whether it be genetic or environmental. Look at our environment at the moment. But what is certain is that these experiences cannot be discounted. All of this overwhelming when it comes to the connection between your anxiety and your physical health conditions. Those who are able to quieten that inner chatterbox inside are happier. And like I said earlier, their sense of relief is palpable. How's about that? The bottom line, though, is yes, we all know this, but you have to, what they call your toolbox of techniques that can be used to dial down that little inner chatterbox that you have, while some of these seem to contradict all that we think and feel. And venting, for instance, that can do a person more harm than good, because talking about negative experiences with friends can often, really often, work as a repellent. That's what I think, because I've felt it. And pushing away those you need most. To take an example, if you're the kind of person who slips into a second or third person when you're in a flap, like, oh my God, Anne, you could calm down, this is not the end of the world. You really are doing yourself a favour. I'm really doing myself a favour. So what that cross calls, that's what he calls the distance self-talk, is according to experiments that he has run, one of the fastest and most straightforward ways of gaining your emotional perspective. That's the psychological hack, guys. The psychological hack. And that is embedded in the fabric of all human language. Talking to yourself like that, as if you were another person altogether, isn't only calming. Yeah, it shows that it can help you make a better impression or improve your performance, like I said. If you're going for a job interview, it will also enable you to reframe from what I said earlier, what seems like an impossibility, but more like a challenge. One, with your own encouragement, you will be able to rise to the occasion. Sounds good to me. When you read more, I suppose I spoke before about placebos, and all of this is a kind of placebo type of thing, isn't it? Those lucky charms, those inner thoughts that you're taking out with you, you're talking to yourself, all those types of superstitions, they're placebos of belief. And that is so important. It means you have control, because you're not going to stop inner thoughts. You need those inner thoughts, because some of those inner thoughts, and hopefully more often than not, are the creatives, are the imagination, is your imagination that can give you the life and the enjoyment in day-to-day life and for your work. And where do you go without those thoughts? That's what we use to create things and to handle situations as well. But along with that comes those self-doubts, and that's the ones you want to handle. And that's the ones you want to sit back and go, well, that's only natural that I'm going to have a self-doubt, because I'm human. But what are you going to do about it? You're not going to fall for it, are you? Nah, you're not going to fall for it. And that's why this Cross guy believes that children should be taught the science behind all of these ideas. And in America, it's already begun. Well, it always does up there, doesn't it? Working with teachers to make all these different things happen. He says we want to find out if knowing this kind of stuff influences how they regulate themselves. For us and for, all of us, everyday feelings of sadness are elevated for so many. But there's also a lot of resilience in us. And we always underestimate that amount of resilience that we have. It's just that probably what we're doing, we take for granted instead of stopping and being aware of just how far you've come, as they say, or just what you're doing to manage the situation. That's all good stuff, and that's all what you want to do. And if you think about it, that resilience has shown us all, really, through this pandemic that, there have been signs, lots of signs that depression and anxiety are spiking. Everyday feelings of sadness elevated madly. You only have to watch television, which you really have to try and limit if it's bad news. But full-blown episodes of these. But that comes with that resilience, doesn't it? And we underestimate that, like I say. A lot of people are doing really quite well through this pandemic, and they're managing the hardship and they're adapting in different ways. I guess maybe I'm more of an optimist. I try to be until I believe that I am. Maybe I am. But we will return, and it could be a nicer place. How quickly, we don't know that will happen. But we can take control, and we can make it better for ourselves. And then ultimately, society, our culture, will be better for that as well. Because we all have shown just how much resilience that we've all had. And you see it every day. But there will be, obviously, pandemic anxious people, and I was as well, and periodically it flutters in and out, what if this and what if that. But that requires you to try and look ahead more, to see yourself determined for the future and all those things that will happen again. There's lots of studies that show if you ask those going through difficult experiences how they feel about it in 10 years' time rather than tomorrow, their troubles are immediately seem more temporary, And that's true. Try it. Ask yourself, how am I going to feel a year from now when I'm back in the office, or I'm back in whatever job that you're doing, or study, or whatever it is? You're seeing all your colleagues, you're seeing all these new people you're going to meet, and you're travelling again, and you're taking your kids out, or you're taking your grandchildren out, and it all gives you hope. And that's why you have to look to the future and channel your thoughts there, taking that control of today and thinking of tomorrow as well. Those emotions of today are regarded and not just suppressed. You're taking them, but you're also focusing all those strengths to the future. Hey, if you like Doctor Who, well, that says it all really, doesn't it? That's a form of time travel. So have your mind be a form of time travel. It can work. It can really work. So there we go. That's all I'm saying. Someone else I was interested in, and it's always worth knowing, always worth knowing. So I hope you enjoyed. Drop me some comments. Please subscribe and follow as usual for the next chapter, because there's always going to be chapters. There's always going to be a tomorrow. So live it well, guys. Just wanted to say that. Bye for now, guys. See you soon. Bye. Oh, and thanks for listening.